Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, to another session of Open Mic. Once again, we have another candidate who decided that the best way to get out there in all the household to share his plan and his vision for his district and the territory has decided to come in studio tonight with us to do his thing. I want you to welcome Mr. Preston Stoutt with me tonight. Welcome, Mr. Stoutt.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Henry.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, like all the other shows, we want you, the viewers, the voters, to be informed. And we believe this is the best way to be informed. We're coming right to you, right into your house, right into your lawn, wherever you watch this show or watching this show right now. We believe this is the best way for you to be informed and understand from the candidate's own lips where he or she is coming from. So, Mr. Stoutt, let's just start off basically telling people a little bit about yourself. Of course, you know, we know you're a Stoutt, but tell the people who you really is.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your show. And, thank you, viewers, for actually tuning in to Open Mic. My name is Preston Stoutt. I was born in August 20th, 1973. I am the last son of 6 kids of the late Honorable Hamilton Lavely Stoutt and a widow, my mom, Hilda Stoutt. I currently work as an approved director at a financial services trust company, which is, financial services is the #1 pillar in the BVI right now. Prior experience, I've been part of opening new businesses, one being renting electronic equipment to the charter industry, which is still ongoing. It's actually the first of its kind in the BVI.
Good, good. But Preston, I know you for a long time. I know you as a businessman.
Yes.
And I appreciate that because I remember coming to you a couple years back at Hodges Creek, inquiring about your business model, and I thought that you had a sound plan. But Preston, you have an opportunity to do other things.
Yes.
You ran before.
Correct.
Why would you now want to run again?
As I did before, I firmly believe now, our campaign does, that the system of government right now is failing the people. And the reason why I say that is there are numerous things, basic needs and necessities that are not being met to the people. Simple things. I mean, imagine we're in 2015. Things like clean, reliable water. We've never had a water water production issue. What we have is a water distribution issue. The cost of living. That's another major issue that is affecting the people of the BVI. Education, I think we are supposed to be raising the standards of that at all times. Education is the foundation of any society. And that is something that's always a working process, and the curriculum is always supposed to be improving. We can get in more to that. But for the district in particular, it's a tourism-driven district. And I feel there needs to be more commerce, more involvement of the local population in terms of ownership, entrepreneurship, and make sure they're part of the business process and model.
Good, good. So what's your plan? What's your plan if you're fortunate to get in?
Yes.
Obviously, you have 2 big giants right now.
Sure.
You might be the lone wolf out there. What plan would you be able to bring that you think you can get past?
Well, the first district overall, like I mentioned before, is highly tourism driven. There are at least, that district alone, there are 8 hotels and many short-term rentals. Furthermore, we have quite a few historical sites. I believe it's 6 or 7 historical sites. But those sites aren't even being highlighted. They're overgrown, and that can be a huge feature for tourists, for those of us that actually live in the district, for schools to take tours and, learn about their history. So on the north side itself, you've got, like I said, hotels and also the short-term rentals. In Carrot Bay, you've got the landfill, which is pretty much just occupied one time out of the year. So if you have, say, a farmer's market, fisherman's market, and also a cultural village. This is something we highlighted last elections, and we're still true to this day, whereby now the cruise pier, that's just been extended, and they're looking for more places for people to go. So coming through Carrot Bay, if they can make stops at certain key points to encourage, the tourists to spend, in essence, highlight our culture, our heritage. There's already a stone oven on that, landfill. So that's something we should utilize and occupy. Some of the older folks in that area, they're very good at, baking tarts, the sweet potato pudding, all those sort of things. You can just highlight that all right there in that one spot. Now, I'm not looking at permanent structures in that area. Mobile, solar powered, they can be positioned in a, small cultural village type setup. And then even when it comes now to the August Festival, you can arrange them in that same semicircle because they're not permanent. So it's still interchangeable. Now you're going with the historical sites along that route. You've got places like the Bomber Shack, which is actually world renowned. If we were to go over to Smuggler's Cove now, that whole Smuggler's Cove, Long Bay area, I'm actually sit on that committee. And there's been some contention down there in terms of vendors and so forth, over the, from the past 2 years. So right now, down there, it's currently with the Ministry of Natural Resources, and it's supposed to go with the National Parks Trust. It still has not, transferred over. However, National Parks Trust had a plan there in place to implement, where they have certain concession stands, they have trails even up to the top of Sugarloaf Mountain, even down now at Long Bay where there's the palm trees. That was Amerindian, American Indian settlement, which I was actually part of the archaeological dig when I was in St. George's School. So I'm quite intimate with that area. There's also a ruin down there. So even in that process, if you have all that there, you can provide jobs. People can be entrepreneurs with those same concession stands. Even with the trails, you can have some of those young guys, once they're trained in what the whole history is of the area, to actually give tours to the tourists. So, the tourists benefit, the whole region benefits, and, to me, it's a win-win situation.
Well, let me ask you, let me ask you this then. Obviously, a lot of people in the Smuggler's Cove area and Beef Island are fighting the same fight. Many people feel if it were to go into a national park, it would somehow limit the opportunity local and young entrepreneurs may have. Would you support a different plan, or do you support the plan of putting it in national park and hope that somehow through the mixing, people can really benefit or would really benefit?
Well, from the plan that I've seen, the concession stands are set up throughout, right? So you can have it on the Smuggler side, you can also have it on the Long Bay side. Now, I know if it goes into national parks, necessarily you can't have anything done unless without their approval. In natural resources, it's in the minister's approval. It's currently in natural resources. And from what I understand, Smuggler's Cove is a small beach. And I think there were close to 10, 12 vendors down there, 2 of which I think were licensed, the rest were not. So I'm quite surprised that, no vendors are down there, because I believe 2 of them were licensed. So they should have been able to carry on their business and, operate how they need to be. And, excuse me. And, down there also, it's currently in lease. I myself actually submitted a proposal to this current administration. I never did get a response. And what that was going to be a pilot program in terms of refurbishing the existing building there, having 2 or 3 concessions where people will be selling different things to the visitors. Also, it would have been solar powered, wind turbine, and also to have a recycling system, just to see how that would be piloted there. Wasn't asking for any financing from government. It would have been financed from, the people within the area or the district, just to see how that would go. And it's something that we can actually call our own.
Let me ask you, let's switch gear a little bit. Government.
Yes.
Obviously, you're not part of any of the government body right now or the opposition.
Correct.
What 3 things bothers you about the current administration?
From going house to house, and also just speaking to people in general. And I can't just go off of my feeling. You have to go off the sentiments of the people, in essence. And the 3 main things that people are really on about is water distribution. Why is it in 2015 we cannot get clean, reliable water 24/7? You've got people that can't, take a shower when they need to at their leisure, can't cook when, they need to at their leisure. I mean, in the dark ages, we used to collect water and keep them in pans. We have people that are doing that now up to this very day. So that whole situation, we've had, ocean conversion we were dealing with. Now we're dealing with bywater. I personally don't feel that, our natural resource should be in foreign hands, but that is just something we need to fix. I mean, that's a basic necessity, and people shouldn't have to be worrying about that problem in 2015.
Yeah.
A second one is education. Yes, we've had some strides in education, but there needs to be a key component in our education curriculum, consumer education, all right? The kids that graduate from our schools need to know about real life situations. And I'm talking about credit cards, debt and credit. They need to know about mortgages, whether it be house or auto. Those sort of things. They need to know how businesses operate. For a Virgin Islander, 2 documents are the most important things: the passport and the trade license, right? Your trade license allows you to make money in your place of birth. Now, I've spoken to a number of young people, and they want to get into a business, but they don't know how to go about it. Simply, to go to Trade and Consumer Department over at the Sebastian's building, they don't know where it's located, don't know the process. So things like that within our high school curriculum, people should be fast-tracked into that and understand by the time they graduate. Despite taking their CXCs or whatever, there's 5 CXCs now, but they need to know how to survive and sustain themselves at home.
You think Trade Department has been sufficiently run? Do you think more needs to be done there?
I think it needs to be streamlined properly. The process seems quite cumbersome. The reason why I say that is because of other people's experiences. Some people have said, they've waited 2-3 years for a trade license, which is absolutely ridiculous. And, correct me if I'm wrong, I think within the laws of Trade Department, if you do not get a response within 90 days, you can therefore proceed ahead with whatever you applied for. You're supposed to get a response within 90 days.
Yeah, but everybody knows how that works. Right?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's a system, and that is why I'm sitting here, to be, one of those people in the House of Assembly to, help change that system.
Good. So you would definitely try to bring some reform to that.
Absolutely.
Good. Because trade license is important to young people.
Exactly.
I believe that if somebody comes for a trade license, BV Islander Indigenous,
Exactly.
Give it to them. It's
Yes.
better to have them sitting on a trade license in hope of doing a legitimate business than to be
Exactly.
sitting around waiting
Yes.
to, not do anything.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the timing of it is everything, the approval, the financing, you might be using your own saved funds, bank financing,
Yeah.
whatever. Usually with the banks, you need to be in business 2 years at least before they even try and finance you.
Yeah.
But
On the trade again, just real quick, one of the things I personally advocate for is seed money. I believe that government, as rich as we are as a country, from what we've been told, and I think there needs to be some real seed money set aside, and it could be streamlined and processed in a manner where it's not just being given to someone to just waste. It's a process you go through. You're properly vetted and qualified, and then that small money, 15,000 or less,
yes,
can go towards buying the necessary equipment,
yes,
or just something that's immediate that pertains to the growing of the business, building a website, doing your marketing and those things. Would you support something like that?
Oh, most definitely. Me as an entrepreneur, it is difficult to get financing here in the BVI, dealing with the commercial banks. I understand that our national bank, which was first, called the Development Bank, it was actually set up for that. People who want to get a boat, deal with fishing, deal with farming, those are where we came from, and we seem to have forgotten about that, but we seem to need to get back to that, just in terms of quality of foods, like we spoke about before. But the Small Business Bureau happens to be in place right now. How many businesses are financed, I am not sure. But it is a start in the right direction. It is something that is needed. In terms of, say, like venture capital firms, that's a big thing in the U.S., you know, if you want to take your company public. But we're trying to focus on small businesses, and I firmly believe that small businesses are what really makes an economy and gets it going.
The real engine.
Yeah, that is a real engine.
You still live in the district?
Yes, I do.
All right.
And I do vote in the district.
You live in the district, vote in the district.
Yeah.
3 things right now, if you were given an opportunity to make a difference, change, address in your district, what would those be?
First and foremost, presentation and perception is key. A complete cleanup of the district. I think that is, you know, highly imperative. Like I said, it's a highly tourism-driven district. I think it needs to be cleaned, make sure we get, you know, rid of the derelict cars, derelict boats, beautify that district, and really bring back the pride that we once had. To me, the standards have, you know, gone down or lowered over the years. So we need to really bring back that pride that we once had in the district. Another important point is that West End Ferry Terminal. Now, although it's located in the district, that is obviously a national situation. It's been, you know, refurbished, knocked down, little, you know, additions here and there. But we really need to get that West End Ferry Terminal dealt with. That happens to be one of the busiest, if not the busiest port of entry in the BVI. Now, my experience with short-term rental business and tourism, most guests prefer to actually fly into St. Thomas and take the ferry boat across to Tortola, simply because it's cheaper to fly into St. Thomas as opposed to flying into Terrence B. Lettsome Airport. So most guests, whether they're charter company guests, they're short-term rental guests, are flying into St. Thomas and taking the ferry across. So the terminal is one thing, the ferry service is also another thing. Make sure it's running on time, and you know, it's actually servicing the people as scheduled. Now, pre-clearance, those are other things that we can look at, you know, but we need to really concentrate on that. That is 2. 3, the tourism within the district, building of commerce. We have 2 landfilled areas, one in Carrot Bay, and like I explained, having that as a cultural heritage, fishing market, farmers market. Also on the south side, across from the West End Police Station. We've got a pile of dirt there that's been there since the beginning of the construction of the hospital. So it's been there for years now. Now, if you do an environmental impact assessment over there, make sure it's not, you know, seriously impacting the environment. You can actually spread that out and create a nice plaza within that area. And the whole idea, again, is local ownership, local involvement, local entrepreneurship. So much so that you create that ambiance there that you don't necessarily have to come into town. I mean, how many barbershops do we have out there? How many hair salons do we have out there? Do we have an ATM readily there? The closest ATM to the first district is either over in King Garden Bay or up at Nanny Key. We don't have an ATM machine down there, or, you know, banking services. So these are the simple things that we want to get going and have people's involvement, create jobs, and ensure that, you know, everybody's involved. So it's all about engaging and empowering.
Definitely. So the basic necessities, huh? Let me ask you, 611.
Yes.
611. Why is that number? Why is that number important to you? The incumbent ones with 611 votes. You've raised a concern. You've asked for observers to pay close attention to your district.
Yes.
Why did you raise that concern?
We simply raised that concern because in 2007, and then again in 2011, the vote count result was exactly 611. Now, the probabilities of that is pretty much low. Now, what we're really advocating for is a fair electoral process for the voter. And, you know, I think it's something that both my opponents should be advocating also. So we're simply just trying to say there needs to be a fair electoral process, one vote per person, because just the probabilities of having 6-11 and then 6-11 4 years later, despite, you know, newly registered voters and that sort of thing. So it's all about a fair electoral process.
So are you saying it wasn't fair?
I'm not saying it's fair. It just raises red flags. I mean, how many times do you know an exact number comes out at the same time?
I think with 3 people now in a race, it might be a different outcome.
Yes.
But if we see 6-11, it might be a number all of us might need to play in the lottery pool.
Possibly,
Again.
possibly. I mean, if you're a gambling man, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously have some policies, some vision. Do they only fit within the district, or you think they more of a territorial-wide vision? Your ideas, your policies, things that you would like to see immediately done in your district, but how open are they for the territory as well?
My outlook overall is on a national scale. You can understand growing up in the household of, you know, my father. Basically, he was a representative for the district, but his outlook was always for the people as a whole. You know, being in the position that he was sitting in, that was basically his outlook and thought process. And having grown up with that, that is how I seem to see things also. So although we have things that are very important in the district, we also have to look at the bigger picture. You know, to me, each district, 1 through 9, is part of the puzzle of the big picture.
Yeah. You have Shayna Smith
Sure.
in your district. John Klein mentioned Dancer Penn one time and said she was like a fly in ointment. We're not going to use those terms for Shayna, but do you believe that she would be the monkey wrench in the whole process? Do you think she might be a problem to you or a problem to Andrew himself? And that would give you an opportunity to win. How do you see the whole outcome?
Well, I find the race quite interesting. There's 3 of us down there in the district. We have to highlight the fact that Ms. Smith was with the PPA before, and then I believe 2 months after joined the NDP, although stating that she would not join the NDP. So it was quite interesting to know that, you know, she joined the NDP and is now contesting the first electoral district. I firmly believe that, you know, it'll be a close race. You know, we're just keeping our you know, pounding the pavement, keeping our ears to the ground, speaking to people, and we're just, you know, may the best candidate win. And, you know, I firmly believe that given the chance, you know, the people of the first district, if they give me the chance, I'll be there, man, you know, to fight for them in the House of Assembly.
So you think people might hold the fact that, you know, just until 2 months before the government decided to call off the government, she declared herself an NDP and pushing so hard as a PPA leader and representative, you think the people might hold that against her?
Well, people in general, is a trust issue, and leaders are usually held by their word.
Okay. So you think they're going to hold it against her?
We'll see on June 8th.
Would you, if you wasn't running and she and Andrew were the only 2 options, would you vote for Andrew and hold that against her, looking at the whole trust issue?
Well, to me, I'm an independent candidate. Both of them represent the very broken system that, you know, I've been talking about all throughout this campaign. So it's really a tough decision because, you know, we've got the incumbent government, and then, you know, we've got the incumbent representative who's part of the last administration. And I firmly believe it needs to be the people's agenda. You can't say that, you know, you believe in this one policy, then switch to another policy, you know, the same policy that you were so, you know, adamant and vocal about at one point in time.
Yeah,
so, you know, I was an independent candidate in 2011, and we're talking about change and fairness, and we're doing the same thing today. So, in essence, you know, our campaign is keeping our word.
Good, good. So, man of his word. How would you approach the whole debate thing? I know your camp been pushing the whole debate thing. You really want to debate both her and Andrew, and why? What do you think you're going to gain from the debate, assuming they were to take up your challenge?
Well, the thing is, we have been the first to actually push that agenda of having a debate. Again, it's about the people. The people should have a fair and transparent process by which to decide out of the potential candidates who would be best to represent them. We should be able to be transparent enough and not be afraid to sit down or stand in front of the people, whether in district or at large, and answer questions that are fired at them. So we firmly believe that that needs to be part of the electoral process in the BVI. I mean, we've been pushing for it now. Hopefully, it's part of the process next time around. I understand that you guys were trying to get the at-large candidates to do that, but most of the excuses are that it's too short a time. But what's 1 hour out of your day?
Yeah. But I think if you're ready and you jump into the limelight, you should be ready.
Absolutely.
If you have a good understanding of the policies and the issues and the worries.
You've done your research.
You've done your research. Yeah. There really shouldn't be anything that would stop you from debating issues that are sincere and genuine.
And the thing is, if you've got a good record and accomplishments, you'll be out there saying, hey, I'm the best,
Yeah, definitely.
So you'll be able to defend yourself.
Yeah. The Virgin Islands Party championed himself as a party of the people. Your dad used to be part of that party, right?
Yeah, he was founding chairman.
That's right. And he was I think he was a fighter for the people.
Most definitely.
We have a lot of issues, but let me jump on at least two of them. We hear a lot about fishermen complaining over and over and over.
Yeah.
The incumbent government, under the minister who's in charge of that, just up until recently in Virgin Gorda, claim he's not aware of these issues, these concerns. We hear complaints for the past 3.5 years of people being blocked from accessing the beach or the beaches throughout the territory. Boats being turned away, block off from entering areas that are not deemed to be protected or National Park Trust area. Would you be championing some of those cause as well, even if you're a lone wolf?
Absolutely. My understanding in our laws are that all beaches are public. So for anyone to be blocked or shunned away from using an actual beach within the territory of the British Virgin Islands is completely wrong. So whether there's a net set across or any boundaries set, that should not be the case.
Good.
I mean, even with private islands, I think you are allowed to use a certain, up to the watermark or, the vegetation of the beach. You're still allowed to be on there. So I would absolutely advocate for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a high water mark.
Yes.
The law clearly states that it must be, even in private development, there must be some access, free and clear access to
So currently,
anyone.
it's an enforcement issue. We have laws on books, but they're not being enforced properly like they're supposed to be.
So you would definitely challenge
Yes, I would.
and be thing. Would you revisit the shark law? We just had a new shark law that was dropped on us by the end of last year, going into this year. Shark law now, you kind of have to be a shark expert now to figure out which one of the sharks in the ocean that might be coming at you is deemed to be protected, so you don't kill that shark and you end up in balsam gut. Would you review that and push for maybe some reform in that?
I would, and here's why I tell you why. The fishermen that I know that go out to fish, they're usually going out, to the seamount. They're going off the Anegada drop-off, or, back of Jos Van Dyke. They're going to fish for fish. No fishermen around here really go out fishing for shark. If they happen to hook a shark, then so be it. The law is now in place. Any restaurant in the BVI, do you see a shark dish on any menu here?
Not me.
No.
I haven't seen it.
Now, I think that law basically was implemented with the mindset of what goes on in a foreign country with shark fin soup. So I understand. But having researched it myself, I believe it's in China, where they...
In Japan as well.
They go for the shark fin and throw away the rest of the shark.
That's right.
Which is very wasteful and, but the shark, at the end of the day, in the seawater, is top of the food chain. And our fishermen here locally do not go out fishing for shark. If they happen to hook one, then so be it. But it's not an industry that we have in terms of, sale of shark fishing for shark. Is something that needs to be revisited.
Definitely. Well, Mr. Stoutt, champion of the people, are you anything like your dad? It would be remiss of me if I didn't ask you about growing up in such a prestigious home. I mean, your dad, he left a legacy I don't think not even you can champion.
Yeah.
I mean, but how you feel going forward? You know, people know you as Preston Stoutt.
Correct.
Mr. Lavity Stout's son.
Correct.
You know.
Well, I'll tell you, it was very interesting growing up in that household. But I'll tell you, there was one common sentiment that you would always hear growing up in that household, and it was the people, the people, the people. He was always concerned about how the people are doing, not just in his district, we're talking territory-wide. You know, back then we didn't even have cell phones, but he managed to keep in contact with key people from Anegada straight to Joss Van Dyke, Tortola, Virgin Gorda. He was quite, you know, very well at what he did during that era. And, you know, he had good team with him. He had guys like T.B. Letson and so forth. I would not say I'll be able to fill his shoes, but the best I can do is follow in his footsteps. Just basically in terms of what he taught me, you know, along with my mom. But the upbringing, you know, strong values, strong Christian values, you know, be fair in whatever you do, and just give it your all and try and do your best.
And be a man of your word.
Exactly.
Be a man of your word, because much of the stories I heard of him, he was a man of his word. If he
Absolutely.
said, I'm going to put up a light,
Exactly.
and he had the power to do it, he would put that light
He
up
would do
because he understand people needed light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
You see, it boils down to basic necessities. Like I say, we're in 2015. There are certain things that we shouldn't be struggling with right now at this point in time. You know, those basic necessities, we need to iron those out. Then we could, you know, develop the other things. But our basic necessities for people to sustain a healthy, you know, sustainable living, those things need to be ironed out, you know, as soon as possible.
all right, we're going to close in about 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you real quick a series of questions. The House of Assembly, would you bring some reform, try to bring some reform to that, some more ethics laws, you know, redefining the whole behavior in the House so people have a better understanding as how to conduct themselves in the House, and then clearly identifying conflict of interest?
Yes, there needs to be a closer look into that. And we follow our Constitution. That's the highest, you know, document by which we are guided by in terms of the positions, the House of Assembly, governor, civil service, and so forth. And the conduct in the House of Assembly has got to be to the book, if you ask me. That is where we're representing the people, whether it's your district rep, or whether it's at large, the premier, you know, whatever ministry. And that there needs to be a certain decorum that exists within the House of Assembly. That, you know, we got to understand that when you're representing in that house, you're representing, yes, your district, your country. When you travel, you're an ambassador to that country and to its people. So you have to be at your best and your A game at all times.
Yeah.
Conflict of interest. We have a register of interest, and that apparently has not been adhered to. I know, like Bermuda, if I want to check whoever's serving in their, you know, their Senate, I can go up online and check easily and see who has interest in what. It's not hidden. So we need more transparency in that to avoid any direct or indirect conflict of interest in the House of Assembly.
Definitely. Would you push for a consumer protection agency to help, you know, control the cost, the inflated cost of goods and services?
Absolutely. That was something, you know, I was championing last elections. We're still on it this time around. You know, I used to ship in food for about 6 years. So I didn't know exactly what was going on with the food here in the BVI until I got into that business. It was more of a shared container that we ship in, either 20-foot or 40-foot. We would ship in for small families, small hotels, small businesses. And basically, it was a shared container. We didn't make that much profit. It was our way of giving back to the community. And it's during that business that I realized what's going on with the pricing and what's going on with the quality. So yes, I would definitely push for consumer protection to ensure that we are getting the best, possible in terms of importation. On the flip side of that, how we spoke before, we were talking about, fishing and agriculture. I would really like to see more of a shift to that. It's organic, it's more healthy, and, the jobs and the money that can be created within our own economy would be much more beneficial.
Definitely. Tourism and the airport go hand in hand.
Mm.
Do you support the expansion of Beef Island Airport?
At this point in time, no. Reason I say that is we have a number of international airports around us. We have St. Thomas, we have Puerto Rico, we have St. Martin, we also have Barbados. What I would advocate is us having our own national airline. If we have our own national airline now, and we've got to look at the cost of it, obviously, but if we have our own national airline and they sync their times in with major airlines coming into those hubs, and from those hubs, we bring to the Terrence B. Lettsome Airport, right? Now, although we put that in place, we have to have the marketing in place also. We have certain untapped markets that we haven't touched, Canada being one. That's an untapped market. We do not advertise, we do not market there. Canada, basically from Toronto, has straight flights going into St. Thomas, and they also have straight flights going into St. Martin. So, yes, we would like to have an expansion of the airport, but at this point in time, I don't think it's viable.
Okay. Well, Mr. Stoutt, I think we're at that point right now. You get a chance to look into the camera and give your best closing argument. And when you do that, just give the folks where they can do follow-up. They can look, maybe you have a website or anything that they can actually go online and see in detail more about your plan and your vision.
Yes. So, viewers, thank you for watching. I am Preston Stoutt, independent candidate for the 1st District in this upcoming general election. So on June 8th, you vote for vision, integrity, credibility. We have 5 more days left. If you want to check out my website, it's www.stoutt4bvi.com. That's STOUTTFORBVI.com. If you would love to have a conversation with me, my number is 541-1215. Now, I firmly believe with the support of the people of the 1st District, if we stand together, we can have change and make change happen.
All right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching another segment of the Open Mic Show. Again and again, our intention is to bring you, the voice and the vision from the candidates themselves. So again, I want to thank you for tuning in and hope to have you another brave soul. Thanks again for watching.